Khârn. Even then, it was a name that evoked fear, awe, and respect, even among his own enhanced, hyper-augmented brethren, the fraternity of killers, psychotics, and berserkers that made up the 12th Legion. Perhaps fear is the wrong word. They shall know no fear, as the rhetoric goes. Caution, unease, discomfort, weariness. These words are perhaps more fitting, certainly less likely to incur a killing rage. His was not a name that evoked hatred though, at least not among his own legion, not yet. Nor was distrust a word that the legionnaires of the 12 would have associated with him, or at least any more distrust than any of the legion had for another. He had, of course, already been called a traitor. They all had, but only by those now being dubbed loyalists. He had not yet been called that by his own, not then. No, that would only come later. He was a figure of contradiction, of course, both before and after Terra, as were all the best of them. He was broken, as were they all. Too long the nails had been grinding into their minds. They had been caught in the death grip of those hateful implants too long. They had been dragged too far down the crimson spiral. There was no coming back. What they were before had been largely obliterated, and what remained was but a shadow. Fragments and splintered glimpses of who they could have been before they willingly destroyed themselves in emulation of the Primarch. They didn't know it though, not back then. But even if they did, would they have made another choice? Perhaps some of them. The best of them, and Khârn was, at least for a time, counted as the very best, were the most confounding. They were the most torn, the most tragic, the most contradictory. Khârn epitomized that more than any. Khârn the Equerry, the most rational of the Legion, the cool head to balance Angron's rage, the diplomat, the wise. Khârn the Bloody, the most berserk of them all when the nails took hold, which they did with increased regularity after Angron's change. All of the Legion were devolving before then, but after New Seria, their inexorable descent spiraled into a plummeting freefall. Now, after the fact, it's easy to regard Khârn as the worst of them all, the chief sinner. But it is certainly true, then if not now, that he was also the chief sufferer. Perhaps he was the wisest, even then, even in the grip of his blackest madness. Perhaps he foresaw what the Legion would become and so ended. But then, perhaps not. It is possible that I read too much into the actions of a madman. Perhaps I construct a facade of rationality as something to cling to, a buoy in a raging storm, unwilling to accept the alternative that he truly had no reason for what he did. Before Scalathrax, he was Khârn, captain of the 8th Assault Company, equerry of the demon Primarch Angron. Afterwards, he was the betrayer, most hated of the World Eaters, even among his own. First onto the walls of the Emperor's palace he was, and last to leave. Or at least so it is now being said. I do not know the truth of that. I was not there to see it. What I did see was the aftermath. Hhal Maven, Seneschal Signoris, 17th Company.